Hey everyone, welcome to Get the Word Out. I'm extremely excited to have Brandi, Garland, and Dan Eberle on the show tonight because they have uncovered something giant in Jackson Township and they are going to let you know about it. They've already done a ton. A lot of people already know about it, but let's just blow this up so we can fix it. It's pretty fascinating and horrifying, and I'm really, really thankful people like Brandi and Dan and others are working to try to uncover giant money problems in local government because it happens everywhere. Okay, Brandi and Dan, thank you so much for being with us. How are you all today?
Doing good, doing good. Excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being on. So what we're going to do is Brandy's going to explain the situation and Dan is going to tell us when there are facts we need to know related to it or something extra. He's the facts person. Brandy's the one that can tell the story. But there is something going on in Jackson Township. So Jackson Township, you guys live about 20 minutes north of Bloomington in a pretty rural area. Is that correct? And so
Very much so.
you all have a town council? Is that who's doing the government there?
So we're in Jackson Township. That's operated by a trustee and a trustee board. There's a
Oh, okay.
Morgantown Town Council that's part of just a smaller Morgantown that's within Jackson Township. The two government bodies came together with an interlocal agreement is what happened. So we're affected by both the Morgantown Town Council and the Jackson Township Trustee Board.
Okay. And so township trustees, not all states have township trustees. We're one of the few states that have it. Every once in a while, our government tries to get rid of it, but people stop it. Townships trustees have certain amount of taxpayer money, and they're supposed to use it to help people in need or like cemeteries, old failing cemeteries, just like certain problems. They're supposed to use the money and their authority, their government authority, to solve local township issues. So yeah, I have Morgan Township in Indiana, and my Morgan Township trustee is my neighbor Lee, who I know, so that helps. So sometimes I'll see if he can help a person in need that I met and stuff. So okay, so you guys have two government bodies, and can you just take us through what is the issue? We know that it's raising bills for people as much as 500%. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the other roles of the township trustee is also or the town board is to make sure that the fire department, volunteer fire department is handled as well. And what
Right.
had happened is we had a volunteer fire department and there was nobody really knew of any issues with it. They had the traditional fish fries and the traditional fundraisers and things like that, as far as, like they're in the parade with the antique fire truck and things like that. But really, none of us average folks really knew about the issues taking place with the fact that they wanted to get to switch the volunteer fire department over to a fire. It ended up being changed over to a fire territory, and a lot of us had never even heard of that. And how I personally found out was I had gotten my neighbor actually had received a flyer saying, if you want to find out why your township property taxes went up 540%, attend this meeting. And I said, 540%? That doesn't sound right. Surely this person that made this flyer is probably,
Misinformation. Yeah.
probably a typo or something, but I'm still going to go, right? So I go and I shared it with every neighbor that I knew and texting like mad, hey, can you make it to this meeting? Because it was just a few days in advance of the meeting. So several of me and my neighbors did show up, and a lot of other people showed up as well. And they were holding that at the actual fire department. So we went to the meeting there. They had the whole board of both the fire territory board as well as the Morgantown board. So there was a whole table full of folks that were up there ready to explain to us what happened and to address our concerns and questions. And I don't know how they anticipated it going, but it didn't go their way. They basically told us that, for one, this had already taken effect. They had already had the meetings that they held. They had already voted on it. It was already a done deal. And in fact, I had looked on my tax bill right before the meeting and realized that sure enough, it was there in my township portion, because there's usually 2 or 3 or 4, depending on where you live, categories, you know, your state, your township, your county. And so it had already happened. So in this meeting, what struck me the most was the fact that they were so unapologetic about how it happened. They thought that putting an ad in 2 newspapers in the notices section of all 3 meetings that they were legally obligated to share was going to be sufficient. And of course,
this is a very common problem across all of Indiana with local government, with knowing what's going on. In my little town of 900, Palmyra, Indiana, when we had 2 good town council members, now we just have 1, I encouraged them to Facebook Live their meetings. And I came in and started doing it myself. I did it one time. The next time they did it. Now it's on. So a lot of the town, when they can't go, they can watch the meetings. But pretty soon they're going to have to do that. I don't know whether township trustees have to. Do you know? Will they have to as well?
Dan, didn't we talk about that?
Yeah, it's my understanding that they're going to have to do it as well.
Okay.
And if I could elaborate a little bit more on the process,
go for it.
How they went about things. So early in 2024, they made these public notices in a couple of low circulation newspapers.
Okay.
Notably, the Mooresville Decatur Times, which is about 30 minutes from us and probably doesn't have much of an outreach to our residents. They made one notice for all 4 meetings, advising of the dates and times of those meetings. It's pretty clear that the outreach wasn't there because everybody was shocked, right? We haven't. I don't think we've gotten into the details yet, but we've started a petition for people that want to repeal this tax, and we've got over 400 signatures in hand now, with several other sheets still out being collected. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're well over 500, and we're talking about a population of 3,400.
I just want to tell you what the other side is saying, because I am friends with some of the Republicans that have power in Harrison County, and they act like they just don't care. They don't come to the meetings. They don't ask any questions. They don't email us. And it's like, we don't know what's going on. You all are very private. That what Palmyra Town Council does with their Facebook Live, nobody else is doing that. And there are ways to see it, but it's really hard to hear it with our county council. And that's just what the people are telling them, is what I believe. The bad people in power in Harrison County kind of dictate to all the people well, if they cared about you and they cared about the government, they would come to the meetings and they would pay attention. It's like, no, you have to do some work to get it out. You need to use social media. You need to put the agenda out. You need to explain the agenda instead of just putting a point that nobody understands what that's talking about. And that's one of the ways they're getting bad decisions made, is because they are not clearly telling their citizens what's going on. So this is a tactic that is happening now when we have free use of social media, and they're not using it.
And I think that was our one main reason of really reaching out and like sharing the story with a podcast. This is something that Dan and I would normally never, ever, ever, ever do. But we do feel like this is already happening to other towns, and it could potentially be coming to a town near you. It doesn't take a whole lot.
Okay, what is happening with the volunteer fire department? Is it still volunteer? Why is the price increasing. I know that it did increase. I know that they did it very quietly. They put it in 2 papers that not many people saw. And then when people were upset about it and came, they were kind of surprised that they were upset. They're like, well, we let you know we were doing this. It's like, well, most people didn't know what actually happened. Why is the property tax going up over 500% for a lot of people?
Well, I think what had happened was that they were investigating other options and other opportunities because they had heard what we now, and I say we had, after that meeting, I went home and did what I know how to do best and started a Facebook group saying opposition to the tax hike. And I posted it in our community page, and it kind of spread like wildfire. And mind you, we have a very small community. So we have over 400 people on there right now, and a lot of input. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of people saying, hey, well, what are you going to do about this? Or how are you going to do this? So it is a learning curve for all of us because we're just regular citizens. We don't know
It's hard to get all
anything.
the information when you're a regular citizen.
Yeah.
You don't have all the documents and stuff. Yeah.
But let me tell you, some natural folks had stepped into the fold, and like Dan himself, like he's fantastic with legal information and being able to write up legal and request freedom of information acts. And we've got another gentleman that's really great at researching because he's a former senator, so he's great at finding that information and knowing what to look for. And we have another gentleman that seems to know everybody in town, so he's getting a lot of information that
Those
we
people are
otherwise
so
probably
helpful.
so valuable. Yeah. So it's been a kind of a team, and if there's anybody else out there that I didn't mention, I see you. I know you that you're helping. The people are helping us get signatures on petitions and talking to their neighbors and letting them know, because we may have needed help with our volunteer fire department, but certainly
Okay.
the citizens didn't know that.
Okay.
So they went from I've heard 2 figures now. I keep saying 145,000. Turns out it may have been $90,000, somewhere in that ballpark. That's what their operating budget was as the volunteer fire department. So do we think that they needed more funds? Absolutely. Absolutely they did. They reached out to a consulting firm. And so this is the fire group, right? Reached out to a consulting firm.
So is it like the fire board that oversees this volunteer fire department? Was it a fire?
Dan, was it the actual fire? Because was that board that didn't even exist before the?
Yeah, it didn't exist yet. So the fire department went out on their own, or was approached by this consulting firm.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And they presented this fire protection territory, this tax rate increase, to our town council and to our trustee board as a necessary amount that they needed to operate. So you have a trustee board and a town council board taking a consulting firm whose client is the fire department, not the residents of Jackson Township.
And their goal is to make money.
Their goal is to make money. The fire department, you can't blame them. They're gonna get as much money as they can, right? So
right.
So they're reaching for the stars, and we granted it to them. We didn't do our own study.
So you're saying the consulting firm? Do you know the name of it?
FSG, isn't it?
FSG Inc. And I'm sorry, I don't have their.
Okay, so FSG Inc., the consulting company, probably went to the fire department and said, look, you guys are struggling. You need more money to protect your township from emergencies. And they probably told them all these things they could do and all this things they could give them. And the firefighters said, this sounds great. Let's do this. And so then there wasn't a lot of like healthy mistrust, which we need in everything involving money. And most humans just kind of blindly trust other humans. It's just like a human nature thing. So there's kind of trusting this consulting company to do the right thing. But the consulting company's like, we found out maybe this is a good way to make money. And so they ask for the property taxes to go up so that all of a sudden the fire department gets huge more amount of money instead of the 90,000 that they needed? Is this what happened?
Yeah, so the township tax rate prior to this was just under 5 cents per $100 of appraised value.
Okay.
Probably could have been a little higher. I think we all agree to that. I'm sorry about the sun doing what it's doing with my
It's
screen.
okay. I can see you well now.
So that went from just under 5 cents to just under 32 cents per $100 appraised value, which resulted in about $900,000 more annually that this fire department's getting. Now, you had asked if earlier, they're going from a volunteer fire department. They want to have 3 people on duty at all times. The part-time employment, $20 an hour, I think, is what they're getting paid, which, I mean, $20 an hour, I'm not arguing that pay rate, but the funds for the firefighters on station is taking up a large portion of,
so it's going from a volunteer fire department to not volunteer.
Yeah, 3 people,
okay,
24/7.
So that's a lot more money. I got a document sent to me from some of our local township fire departments, how many millions of dollars they save being volunteer on the state. So that's a big giant change. And you guys really didn't know that this was happening. Okay. So all of a sudden it's going from volunteer fire department to not volunteer, which I'm okay with paying people to work, trying to save people's lives. I kind of get that, but the amount of money is not making sense. Is that what you're saying, Dan?
Yeah. So if you look at comparable townships locally that are operating either volunteer fire departments in rural areas that are much like ours, or maybe they're paid. There's one in Shelby County, and of course the township's escaping me right now, but they're doing 2 during the day and 1 at night. And they're in Shelby County, and we're doing 3 and 3. The reason why it was proposed to us that we needed to do 3 and 3 was because of ISO ratings. Now, ISO ratings are it's an insurance rating that measures for homeowners insurance. If you have a rating of 1, you're doing fantastic. That's the best score you can get. A rating of 10 is essentially saying you don't have a fire department. We're a rating of 10. We have the absolute worst rating you can get for an ISO rating, and that makes homeowners insurance skyrocket if you can even get it. So they said that that's what we needed, and 3 people at the fire department, this $1 million a year is going to solve that problem. But we've been attacking this from all angles, or investigating from all angles, I should say, and we really just started looking into ISO ratings and what can lower a rating. And a volunteer fire department can reduce a ISO rating from a 10 to a 5 or a 6 very easily without manning the fire station. So an ISO rating, 50% of that is based on the fire department and their response rates.
I wonder what the firefighters were told by the company about this, because I bet they weren't said, there are some easy things you can do to make this rating better without costing millions of dollars and adding these full-time workers always manned at the station. I just want to share a quick story about my town of Palmyra. Last year, we lost our town park, Buffalo Trace, which is a beautiful park right by my house. It has a lake and a walking trail and playgrounds and camping and animals and stuff. It's amazing. And our park superintendent, Larry Schickles, had been working for years to take away this park and make it a Harrison County park, even though the land was donated to the town of Palmyra, because it's very profitable. It's the most profitable park in the county. And he was able to do it last year when all new town council members came in and had no idea what they were doing. He swoops in all nice and he says, you all, we are such a danger. The town could be sued any day now because of this park, because of the dam in the park. He said somebody could get hurt because this dam needs to be replaced. And if you don't sign over the park to the parks department. The town could be bankrupt. And so they were terrified. I
Yeah.
found out about it about a week before it happened, and I tried to convince them, but they were scared out of their minds that they were going to get sued if they didn't give over our park. So I went to the meeting. I even had to publicly say my address to try to I guess so they could intimidate me so I wouldn't get up and speak. I was given 2 minutes to talk, and I did my best, and they all three of them voted and gave away our park. So we lost our park because of that fear tactic. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is there's the fear tactic, this insurance rating. The only way to make
For
it go
sure.
down is if you do this problem right here that's going to make us a bunch of money, but we're not telling you that. It's just a really easy tool to use. Get the fear about your community. We know these people at the fire department are trying to do their best and really trying, and here they're kind of being duped, you know?
Yep, and that's not the only fear tactic they've used. So everybody that we've heard from that's in favor of the tax increase is repeating what we have found to be a lie, that the county is going to take over the fire department if we don't do this. It was said in our meeting when we had our
And that's not true.
Informational. Nope. And we've confirmed that. We've confirmed that there's never been any discussion of it.
Okay, so those of you listening to this, please stop saying that fake thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, let's stop it.
Yep, and we have receipts. So if you want to reach out to me directly, I can provide those receipts. So.
And how can people reach out to you directly? Is that your Facebook?
So our opposition page that Brandi started. Brandi, if you can help me with the name of it.
It is the Opposition to Jackson Township, Indiana tax hike. I don't know if it'll show up very well, but it looks like this.
Oh yeah, put it even closer. That looks great. Yeah,
it's just a Facebook page.
Jackson Township, Indiana tax hike. So follow that message, comment on there, and you can see the information. And you're all working together to get the information because it's hard to find out and trying to figure this out. That's another way people can come in and do harmful things, is because our government laws are so freaking confusing, and there's so many. And you get a lawyer. There's like a lawyer there at our town council meetings, and the lawyer's supposed to know the law because nobody knows. Like, you're all just like, well, what's the law for this? And then the law's kind of questionable, and you can kind of read it a certain way. Like, so it's smart. It's really smart of you, Brandi, to have started that Facebook group. If you're listening to this and you have your own issue in your own town, starting a Facebook group about that issue and sharing knowledge can be a quick way to find out what's going on. Yeah, that's smart.
And we've tried really hard to be transparent on that page and say, hey, look, we're just average citizens digging into this. And we've had some above average citizens, Dan and Marcus and Alan, but that have really, really, really uncovered some really important information that comes with receipts. So, and they're sharing those receipts in real time on that page. So it's not about, I want a following on that page. It's not, there's a lot of information to be had on that page where you can look back and kind of see the full story and how it has kind of been spelled out over time. Because look, the reason that I got so passionate about this was because at that initial meeting, when everybody was so angry at the boards that were sitting up there, I had asked what other avenues were explored. What else did we look at
instead
before
of just,
we did this?
Right.
And I got literally overlooked and literally no answer, to the fact where I looked around, I was like, I could have swore I just asked a question. And the gentleman behind me said, she just asked a question, to which they still didn't acknowledge. But then later somebody else said, you never asked her question. And finally they kind of almost yelled and said, there were no solutions. There were no other solutions, which it can't possibly be true.
So here's what it looks like happened to me, in my opinion. It looks like the people that made this decision were misled and were driven by fear of their, oh no, we need to help people. And they were trying to do the best thing. And so they went with this group and they took this deal thinking people are going to be happy about it, because all they know is this is a good thing. And then they're met with a bunch of people that are more informed saying, what did you do? No, actually, this wasn't a good idea. And they don't know how to say, you know what? We messed up. This group came
That's
in
it.
and they told us these things and
That's
we
it.
believed them because we thought they were good people, but really they're trying to make money for their company and we didn't know that and we're sorry and we're going to do what we can to fix it. Who can help us? How can we fix it? And it's just such a human flaw, especially when you're in government because it's so scary and confusing. It's such a flaw in
Yeah.
us to just never admit we made a mistake. And I'm asking the Jackson Township people that are involved in this, the township board, the council, to step back, look at this, and come out and say, you all, they told us this, and we believed them, and we're sorry. Let's look into how to fix it. Wouldn't that help if they did that?
Oh yeah.
Tremendously. They could definitely come back to the table and we could, because I mean, let's think about this whole conversation we've had. We haven't really touched on the fact that what we have in our fire department, whether it's volunteer or territory, it's still the same folks, it's still the same amount of calls. We typically get 400 calls a year. That's
for
it.
911 service, 400
That's
calls a
it.
year. That's not
Yeah,
that many.
a lot of them are canceled. Some of them are mutual aid, so that's for other surrounding areas that have had a call
And they need
out, and then
extra
ours
support.
is backup. So by the time we get there, it's typically we're not the main ones being called out, and most of them are falls, things like that. So it's just nobody wants to have a fire in our community. Nobody wants that. We all want to be prepared. But it seems like having that many people on staff ready for so few calls with such a high tax that we have little old ladies in that meeting that literally stood up and was like, I can't afford my house payment to go up again. I have a fixed income, and what's going to happen to these folks? And that's another reason I'm shouting it from the rooftops, is because people don't know that this has already happened. So your tax bills, if you've probably already gotten them, and if you're like normal people, you probably just, okay, it gets rolled in with your escrow for your mortgage, so you just set it aside. So at the end of the year, when the mortgage company kind of tallies that up and suddenly, oh, the tax was more than they expected, so they didn't charge you enough for your escrow. So then they're going to say, hey, by the way, you're $500 short in your escrow. You owe that now. And then your payment's going to go up for the next year to adjust for and to be ready for that, to account for that.
Okay, so now
and I'm just guessing 500, it could be more.
So they don't need it. So the people that they've hired on staff are mostly just hanging out at the firehouse, not actually doing a whole lot. And they're getting paid for it, which again, I understand it's a job, but you've hired too many people than what you need.
I mean, that's what we feel like for our community. And then also, Dan has uncovered some things that the fire department could be doing. And I don't know that we've checked to see if they're doing those things, but that could bring the ISO rating down.
Okay,
above
Dan,
and
do you
beyond.
know what those are? Can you tell us what are some things that they could do to bring the ISO rating down so that the insurance, the rating would be better?
Yeah, so this is relatively new to me as well. So I have it on a list here, but so the ISO rating, 50% of that is made up by the fire department, how they're documenting things, their response times, communications. So our communications division, 50% of that is rolled into the fire department, right?
So how quickly the fire department people get to the emergency, and are they logging it and documenting about the emergencies?
Yes, and it goes into. There's more to it. Trainings. There's a lot more to it, but the fire department's 50%. Okay, so if the fire department is 50% of our rating, and we've got a 10, then the fire department isn't our only problem either, right?
Right.
So we're failing with the fire department, whether it's their fault or not. I'm not blaming them. We're failing with the fire department. We're also failing with our water supply.
Okay.
40% of that's water supply. Guess what we could have done with $1 million, right? We could have gotten our hydrants checked or reevaluated, or the fire department can do what they call like tanker transport drills to confirm that they can get the water where the water needs to go. And I know I'm not doing a great job of explaining that, but
no, you're doing good.
And then another 10%, this is easy. The Jackson Township trustee's office doesn't have a website. They have a Facebook page. There's no outreach. I haven't heard from anybody unless I've called Bill Witt, who has been nice when he's talked to me. I'll give him that. But it's crickets other than when you're trying to reach them. 10% of this rating is fire awareness. You can do fire awareness.
Oh, that's free. That's free.
Yeah.
That's just one person
Yep.
opening a Facebook page and putting information on about what's going on.
Yep. And I'll even say, like, it's been confirmed that could be done by me. That could be done by Brandi. That could be done by any citizen that wants to create flyers and put it on a Facebook page. And you're getting 10% of your rating for providing education, fire education.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say that company that came in that said, you got to fix this problem by hiring us, didn't tell them that. What do you think?
Right. Yeah. There's no way. Yep.
Yeah.
That company also told them, though, that towards the end, once everything got approved and once they got wind that it might have been after they got wind that our group had formed. It could have been before, so don't quote me on that. But the consultant said, no, this is going to be like kicking a hornet's nest when this gets out, that this tax has happened.
And has it? I mean, it seems like it has, since you've got 400 people on your Facebook group.
I mean, it's definitely, people are really, really, really angry. And the only people that aren't are people who think that somehow we're against the fire department, which is not our position.
If I were on the bad side, the people profiting, that's the argument I would make. Oh, look, they're against the fire department. They don't support firefighters. It's such an easy argument to make, and it's so quick to say, yeah, they're bad. But as soon as you dig in just a tiny bit and find out some of these truths, you find out that's not true. So yeah, I see that in Harrison County too. They really are like, they say this like fear thing to get people to be like, oh, they're, it's just such it's such a fear tactic, so you don't see the truth. But you guys are amazing. Brandi and Dan, and then you mentioned another guy. Who was the other person? Greg?
Marcus Billings has been fantastic.
So everybody involved that's actually working, because you're not getting paid for this. You're like, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. I'm going to shine a light on it. You guys are making a difference. And that's, I wanted to know what was going on in your county, but I really wanted to show how easy it is to shine a light on the local things happening in your area. You started that Facebook page very quickly. You got 400 people on it, and you're all sharing stuff. You all are working. You met people that also care. You two didn't know each other before this, right?
Correct.
No.
Right. And so because of our technology, it's good and bad. It's bad because the bad people can use the technology to share how to scam people. That's happening. But then the people on the side of community can band together using social media and technology to fight it. So we have to do a better job of being citizens like you all and getting involved. Now, I wasn't very involved when I was a full-time teacher with politics. It wasn't until I quit, and then the pandemic was going on, and then I was like, oh, I need to care about my community now that I'm not helping fifth graders. I got to help other people. So I started getting involved. But what I'm learning now in 2025 with everything that's going on, we all have to do our part. Otherwise, companies, people, they come in and they take advantage of small governments or big governments or state governments or county governments. They take over and they scam government money. And it happens all the freaking time. It's happening here in Harrison County. It's happening in your county. And you guys are doing something about it. So it's easy to do something about it, really. but it's a little scary because, like I said, I bet
Yeah.
sometimes information comes out that's not right, but then you got to clear it up. I just want everybody to know it's okay to not get the right information when you're seeking it. Is it this? Ask a question and say, oh, no, it's not this, it's this. It's okay to not be 100% perfect all the time. That kind of prevents a lot of us from getting involved in our communities because we're scared we're going to mess up. Don't you guys have that, like, fear?
Of course, of course. I mean, and you know, the other thing too is I'm pretty passionate about politics on my side of the aisle. And being in a small town, I was very apprehensive about the people that I would be working with and have to work with in trying to tackle this. And the first meeting that we held, because we decided we needed to bring the whole town in. There was a church that was lovely enough to, before we could even ask, they were like, if you need a place to meet, you've got our church anytime you need it. And I was like, it was right downtown Morgantown. I was like, oh, that's amazing. And so we just called a meeting. Have I ever called a meeting before? I feel like Marcus may have, but you know what I mean? Like, we just pulled it together and was like, hey, this time, this place, if anybody wants to come and listen to what
And
we
did
found
people
so
come?
far.
So you had a
And
meeting about this issue. Did people come to it?
we had 50 people show up, and we were
That's
able to,
amazing.
yeah, we were able to hand out the petition forms, because people can either sign it digitally, and there's a place to do that on that Facebook page, or they can sign it themselves. And if they really want to go above and beyond and join in and help, we actually do have maps. If they want to come and pick up a map and actually go to that area and knock on doors and say, hey, I just want to let you know that this is happening. I want to make sure that you're registered to vote, because no matter how much we do, we're trying everything that we can from every different direction. If it all is for nothing, it's okay. We've let people know, and it will be time to vote, and those people need to be registered and ready to voice their opinion. But back to what I was saying is that I looked around that room at that big meeting, and I mean, we had people from every single ideology, as far as like political backgrounds, independents, libertarians, Democrats, Republicans. I mean, everything was there. Well, the pastor even came from the church. He attended it, and he was like, I want to know what's going on too. And he may have even used a curse word because he was pretty upset about it. So, you know, I mean, people are really, 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 this is not something that can't be fixed. And we need to be, as a community, we need to be ready for people to potentially lose their homes. Because if you're on a fixed income, and like the little old lady at the meeting, at the original meeting, she
They
stood up
can't
and she
pay
said, what
for
am
a
I going to be able to
500%,
do?
increase.
They didn't
Yeah.
have anything to say to her. She stayed for a little bit longer, but then I noticed she got up and she just kind of real quietly walked out of the meeting really early, and it destroyed me because I could see my grandma, you know, in that
Well, you know,
situation.
something, if anybody cares about the people on a fixed income, you can help them raise money for their bills. We have to
Well,
do that
and
now
that's
until we
something that
fix this.
yeah, that's what we're working on too. I just
Oh,
sent
wow.
a
You guys are
message
awesome.
today. Well, I just sent I don't even think Dan knows this. I just sent a message today to Bill Witt to ask him how much money we have in the fund for poor relief, and if that rolls over from one year to the next,
Well, that's
and
what your township
how we
trustee is
can.
supposed to give money when they can't pay their bills, but sometimes the requirements are too hard for most people to be able to get help from it, and that's another reason why we need good people to run for these local offices so that we can actually help people. I like what you said about you were worried because you're very far on your political spectrum. Like, I would say you're far to the left, and you
Very.
thought people might have a problem or other people might not care because they might be Republicans or far to the right. And when you talked about the issue, you
Right.
found 100% that was not the case. Everybody cares about this issue. And I wish everybody heard that more. When we talk about the issues and supporting the community, most people agree. That's why I'm sick of labels. I'm sick of Democrat and
Yeah.
Republican personally, because people think one side is right and one side is wrong. But really, a lot of times, both sides aren't great.
Yeah.
It's painful to see, but both sides are not great. And when one side is in complete control and nobody knows what's going on, bad things happen. It doesn't matter what label you put next to your name. If you're not being really transparent and saying what you're doing and putting it out there and explaining it, and you're really quietly just doing things, and then whoops, well, this giant tax hike happened, that's a problem. And it doesn't matter whether your name has an R or a D by it. So being transparent, that's important. Okay, Dan, I have a question for you. Brandi was saying that you have looked into ways to fix this issue. What ways do we have to help Jackson Township with this property tax hike? What have you guys found?
Well, unfortunately, we're handicapped in a way without them pulling out of it. They have to pull. They have.
Can they pull out of it? Could they all vote and agree so they could stop it at the next meeting if they wanted to?
Yep, and just because they've put it out there themselves, Morgantown Town Council has made it very clear they're happy with their decision. They're saying that they got a good deal on it because the town got a good deal on it, but guess who didn't? Jackson Township didn't get a good deal on it. So,
public pressure, making their jobs not as hard, not as easy, emailing them, calling them, sending them this episode, letting them know we're not happy. If you put pressure on them every day at their job, that might be a good thing. Since they're acting like they're happy with this decision, maybe we need to educate them that this was not a good decision.
Yeah, the township needs to pull out. We do have other options. So I don't want to do away with the Morgantown Fire Department. I've no interest in that.
No.
You've got to come back to the table and renegotiate with Morgantown if the fire department. If they don't want to, there's other options. You can annex with other agencies that are local. You can do a lot of things. I don't think that's necessary. I think a renegotiation is doable after we maybe do our own study, right? But yeah, we have to pull out of this and use our resources more responsibly.
Okay, so we can let the people know, those of you that live here, let those elected officials know you're not happy and you want better. And if they continuously refuse, which we do see that in some governments, they just continuously do not listen to the citizens. When is the next election? Can we elect better people? What's the next steps here?
Yeah, so the primaries
2026.
Primaries will be in May of 2026.
Yeah, so there's township trustees, township advisory board are all going to be up in this next election. So even like you could get on primary in May of 2026, less than a year away here. And then you've got November. So it's really not that long. It's like a year and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I assume the town council's not for the next year.
Well, so yeah, I don't know exactly how the town council, I don't think they all go at the same time. So I'm sure there'll be some positions that are up, but I don't know of anybody that hey, if you're interested, reach out to us, let us know.
Yeah, so that's definitely,
Seriously.
if you're listening to this and you're a concerned citizen of Jackson Township, let these people know. Get on that Facebook group. What is it called again? Say it one more time, Brandi.
It's called the Opposition to the Jackson Township, Indiana Tax Hike. It's going to look like this.
So get on that and message them, and they will help you run for local office where you could help make people's lives better. You could help fix this issue. If you are watching this and you are one of these elected officials and you're just like, I'm being attacked, I encourage you to research this, to talk to Brandi, to talk to Dan. You guys aren't going to yell at them, are you? You're going to be nice.
Absolutely
to them.
not.
Right.
No.
Right. And you're going to try to help them understand. I'm friends with former town council members and one that's still on the Palmyra Town Council. It is a hard job, and they don't know all of the confusing laws of their town, their county, of the state. It is so much. So it is okay that you messed up. Just allow it's okay that you messed up. I mess up all the time too. I understand that you believe people that seemed like they were in it for good and they were in it for money. That happens so much in government, and I don't think we train people enough before they go into these positions that that's going to happen, because there's just so much government money and there's not a whole lot of oversight or transparency in Indiana, especially. So, you know, it's not all their fault. They're up against some pretty powerful entities that know how to abuse those
Yep.
nice county people that want to help their area. So it's not your fault. And if you could just try to fix it, and the town is not going to yell at you, maybe some people will, but the majority of people are just going to be so happy if you try to fix the issue. So anybody that has government positions and you've messed up, just say, I'm so sorry. I'm only human. I didn't understand this. And then just try to fix it. And just as a culture, we don't do that enough. Our politicians on both sides do not come out and say, I made a mistake. And it really hurts all of us in America that we don't do that more.
Yep. If I could step in, I want to talk about the Jackson Township Board and the Jackson Township trustees specifically.
Sure.
We have had so many people coming in to the office where we have our petition, talking about how much they like our current trustee and how much they like our trustee board, but they're there to sign the petition because they know that that's not right. So we're not calling you bad people.
Right.
We know, or I at least believe that you believe that you were doing the right thing. And maybe you were tricked, and maybe you didn't, maybe you could have done more to look into it. But like she said, mistakes happen, and we can correct those.
Yeah, that's
what we
such
want to
good.
do.
It's such a good tip. I think if we just didn't take things so personally and we just worked for the common good of the community, and if we were more willing to just shine a light on what's happening and we all work together and help each other. So I want to shout out my favorite mayor, Treva Hodges. Have you heard of her? She is the mayor of Charlestown down here in Southern Indiana. And she gives at least once a week Facebook talks where she puts it on Instagram and she puts it on email and she just explains the main issues going on in the town. She's so transparent with her community, and she's mayor for the second time now. And it's a very purple area, and she's running as a Democrat. So it's a big deal that we have this mayor. So Treva's awesome. She became aware of this awful decision that was going to happen, that was going to raise everybody's taxes and take money from schools. And she came on Project Next a few months ago and uncovered the story and stopped it, I think, unless they were able to start it again another way. And she basically found something that it would hurt Charlestown, but it would hurt all the areas in her county and in other counties. And she uncovered the story because she read it before people signed it into law, and she came on our show. She's put it on her stuff and was able to stop it. So when government officials openly say, because she said, I don't know everything, but here's what I'm reading, here's what I'm catching. And she came on our show and she was pretty nervous about it, because there were so many laws and facts, and it's nerve-wracking because you might get some things wrong, but she was brave enough to come on our show live and explain it. And we need more people to do that. We need what you two are doing. We need more of that. And we need to just not be so scared that we might say something wrong. We all got to work together for the community. We got to protect the sweet little old lady that's on a fixed income so that she doesn't become unhoused because of this.
Yeah, because if folks are watching and they're like, oh, they're being a little fear mongering, and that lady's not going to lose her house. I took care of my grandmother for years. She passed away 2 years ago, but I took care of her for the past 10 years of her life, and I paid her bills for her. She made just over $1,100 a month. And let me tell you, it took every single penny of that to pay her house payment, to put food in her refrigerator, and to keep her lights on. If that had been me right now, my grandmother lived in Jackson. I don't know, in Jackson Township, I don't know how I would come up with the money to cover my increase and her increase, because mine went up $400 alone.
Wow.
And guess what? There's more coming our way, because we do have a water issue that's That's the bill for that is about to kick in. I don't pretend to know a whole lot about that because I'm still learning on the fly. But then we have, Ron just did a bunch of these tax cuts, and unfortunately, although that was a tax cut at the state level, that kicks the can down the road, and it's going to make the local governments have more responsibility to pick up what now we're not getting. So, our police, our fire, I guess, to where that it's not a fire territory, and our schools are going to get hit. So what they're going to do is they're going to add more taxes on your local towns and townships to cover it. So not only is this happening, but next year we're probably looking at more. And you can't get away from taxes. And if you don't pay them, they will put your house up for a sheriff's sale because you owe taxes. That's how you hear these stories about houses being sold for $100 or $1,000, because all you have to do is make right what the taxes are for houses that are already, owned outright. So, and that these businesses in our town, the cap on the taxes for them is 3%. Businesses are not going to want to be here if their taxes reach the cap and they have to pay that much more. So, it affects everybody. So from the little old lady to the business owner.
People aren't going to want to live in your town if it's so much more expensive to live there than another town.
Farmers are getting hit. So,
really, they are.
I honestly think things in Indiana are going to get worse until they get better. But if we don't all start doing our part and getting more involved in that tiny local area, we're not going to fix it. And we have to fix it. Now, the fixing is going to take a couple of years. It could be faster for you all if the people in charge decided to, do the right thing and admit, whoops, we got duped, or, we didn't understand this. Let's fix it now. If, so they can fix it now, or you're going to have to vote it out and get better. I think the simplest solution is for everybody to work together and fix it now. But you're not in power, so you can't do it. It's up to those certain people that were elected. So if they do it, great. If they don't, keep shining a light on it, keep calling it out, vote it better, and then help those that need it the most. So anybody living in this town being hurt by this property tax bill, reach out to them and see if the community can support you until the elected officials can do it better. Yeah.
Please. Yeah. And one more thing I'll add on to that. I met a lady who was 65, and she had expressed to me that things were getting so hard. She wasn't in our township, but that things were getting so hard for her that she had to go to food pantries. And I said, what would you have me tell people in my community that are too proud to go to a food pantry, who probably need to do it to supplement their income? And she said, it's really easy. You can't eat pride. It's not going to feed your belly. And I thought, that's it. That's it. It's just that, if you're at the edge of your income and you don't have enough that if you had a flat tire that you could fix it, going to food pantries right now would be a really smart idea. Like, don't wait until your stomach's growling and you literally have no food. Please, if you need connections, reach out to me. I know some places, and I can certainly find resources. You could find me on that opposition page. And if you have any other questions, you can reach out, and I'm sure that we can get you my information, and we'll find you some answers. But don't be too proud.
Yeah,
please don't be too proud.
Fight back, figure out what's happening in your community. Make some type of Facebook group or other type of way to communicate with your community about the issue you're concerned about. Shine a light on it, work to make it better, and then while you're doing that, protect the most vulnerable, protect those that need it the most. Again, I think things are going to get worse until they get better. But I do think if people like you guys keep stepping up and doing this, we can make it better. It's just not going to happen overnight. It might take the next election. It might take the next election after that. But if we keep informing people, and when we don't worry about political parties, we just talk to everybody like they're human beings that we care about in our community. and we vote that way. We vote for the best person that's going to take care of the community. We can fix this. Thank you two for coming on. I'd like you both to come on separately at different times. So let me know when you want to come back on. I would love to have you both. I am just so beyond blessed that you two are fighting for your community. I mean, I hope this is an uplifting episode to everybody. You guys are just regular Hoosiers living in an area alarmed by your tax hike, doing something. You didn't get elected. Nobody came to you. You just sat up one day and said, that's it. This isn't right. And I'm going to see why. And now you're working together. And you probably wouldn't be doing as well if you hadn't met each other, right? Your little team.
Because no, we're all it's really come together as a perfect combination. We all have our strengths and we're all feeding off of each other. And people that haven't been named, there's so many people out there that we haven't named and addressed in this show. And
I just thank you to all of them.
Everyone. We really do.
And I love this story. I didn't know this until you all came on today, how much you all are working together and you're all using each other's strengths. Dan, you're the numbers, math, facts guy. Brandi, you're good at the communication of the story. And then you got the other people that know how to speak to people in a crowd. And so you're all using your all's gifts. And I'm trying to do that too, to save the state. So I think that's really wonderful. And it probably makes it not as scary what you're trying to do. Because if you were doing it alone, it would be hard.
And I've made some great friends, you know. Yes. I've there, you know, we would have never met. I look forward. We're planning on getting our kids. We've got little boys, so we're planning on getting our little boys together. Because now I chat up his wife because I was like, hey, you don't know me, but I'm texting your husband. So hi. so we're hoping to get the kids together. And we've all attended a parade downtown Morgantown together. So that was cool. So this it's a new sense of community for me because I haven't lived here for very long. 4 or 5 years when you live in a rural community, it's really hard to meet people when you're not really close to them. And I know Dan's fairly new to this area, so it's been nice to get a sense of community. And they are from all different political backgrounds, and I've loved every one of them so far. So it's a reminder that we need to put the titles down, work on what we can work on. A lot of us have more in common than what we could ever imagine.
And the door knocking, you guys are door knocking and explaining the issue to people that aren't on social media or don't know about it. And then seeing if they want to sign and see if they want to get involved and help. That is a very key thing. You're not door knocking to say, vote for this person. You're door knocking to say, this issue is affecting you. Do you know about it? Here's what you can do to try to stop it. That's such a wonderful thing. And that's how you meet great people. I've met friends by door knocking when I was running for county council and state house. And I met friends for my kids. I'm like, oh, your kid's the same age as my kid, or your kid and my kid talk at school, but we didn't know we lived close to each other. You know, it's like, it's really amazing. So I just think that part is also beautiful. There's all these benefits to fighting a local issue besides trying to stop the local issue bad thing from happening. And I think you guys are just such a real world, amazing example of that. I'm really proud of you all and everybody listening that is helping. Big hugs to you all. Keep going. Come back on if there's any news, if there's anything that happens with this. I'd love to hear it. It doesn't have to be a full hour episode. You can just come on for a few minutes and shine a light if you want. But if you want to follow it, you know, let's help them all we can. Anything else you want to say as we tie this up? I'm just so thankful you two came on tonight.
I would just say that as uncomfortable as it is to seek out your local board meetings, your local town meetings, it's uncomfortable. I'm a creature of habit. I go to the same gas station, the same gas pump every single time because that's my comfort zone. So it's hard for me to get out there. But once you get out there, what you gain from it, the friendships and the community that you gain from it far outweigh that moment of uncomfortableness that caused, you know, that makes, once you get there, you'll be okay.
Right.
So
it's the initial thing that's so hard. Yeah. Dan, anything for you?
I'm gonna go back to our petition and request that if you're hearing this and you're in Jackson Township, and I also want to specify that it's Jackson Township, Morgan County. Just there's a few Jackson Townships out there. So if you're in Jackson Township, Morgan County, and you are just now finding out about this, if you want to sign the petition, reach out to us. We have it in a few locations. I've driven it to several people's houses to get it signed. We've kind of got a mandate at this point. I think so. They have to listen to us. We've got over 500 signatures. We're just getting started. There's 3,500 residents, and that's including children. So
you can use our network, Project Next, to announce their response. So let me know in a month or so, or a month or two. Let me know, is it crickets? Is it nothing? Or do they respond to the people, the citizens that live in this area? Are they responding? What are they saying? And I'd love you to put it on this network. Let's try to shine a spotlight on this and help. I mean, a few thousand people watch this on Facebook, a few hundred everywhere else. We got podcasts. We got an audience across Indiana. So let's use it to try to motivate. And if these people try to help, I am going to be praising them. Okay. I am going to be so proud of them. If they are like, we messed up, we didn't realize, we listened to the show, we listened to Brandi and Dan and the other people that have been finding out, and we are working for a solution. Here's what we can do. And they're more transparent and open. I would be so happy to praise them for doing that.
And I will help them. I will.
Yes.
I will silently help you. You don't even have to tell people that I'm helping. I'll do whatever you need me to do to fix this.
I really love that. This is how we save our communities. We get involved locally. We pay attention. We work together. We use technology. We meet people. We grow. Let's do it, you guys. You all are awesome. You made my night feel better, because I tell you what, the news is rough sometimes. Local.
I just encourage also anybody that's watching that knows either of us, please check out Project Next. They're across all different medias. They cover all things going on in Indiana. It's a very bipartisan show. And we need to be more in tune with what's happening in our state, because the federal government is a big, huge thing that unfortunately we just can't tackle. We have to start local, and this would be a good way for you to kind of figure out what's going on. And she covers things everywhere in Indiana. So anybody that knows me, please follow her on all the social media platforms, because she's doing fantastic work.
Thank you. That's so nice you say. If you have a story of your own that's happening, I didn't know you, Brandi. Michelle Higgs, who I know through Indiana Rural Summit, she connected us. And then Brandi, you got Dan on board. And that's how we do this. So if you have a story, I'm going to be talking about a huge story happening in Oregon with data centers. Amazon.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody saw our Citizen Action Coalition story that I put out a couple weeks ago with the executive director of Citizen Action Coalition and what's happening in Indiana. And there's bad stuff happening in other states. And so I'm going to start covering some other states soon. I'm excited about, but also horrified to hear what happened to Jonathan Talman and his family's farm. And anyway, let me know. I'm trying to shine a light on issues and trying to solve them. Let's fix them. We don't just have to
just talking.
Fix the issue. We can do this together. And I love, Dan, how you're like, I'll help you. I don't even need credit. We can quietly, I'll look at it and try to help you. That's how we do this stuff. Yeah. Okay, you guys. Oh my goodness. My kids are home and they are crazy. Love you, cutie pie. So anyway, sorry. I am going to be not doing as many shows for the next couple weeks. And then I'm going to be doing some big ones. Oh, I'm going to do a big announcement tomorrow. Tomorrow, Thursday at around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Huge announcement about Project Next. Something to do with Brian Zimmerman, the Special Forces vet. He's back. So huge, giant news coming tomorrow. I figured it out yesterday how to do something. It was so hard. Anyway,
So it's
That's
1
coming
o'clock tomorrow.
So tune in. It'll be right at 1:30. It'll be right at the beginning. I'll announce the giant news. So huge news coming.
1:30 on Thursday.
Yeah, it'll be an on location show tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty excited about that one. And it's community building stuff too, but it's really a new first for Project Next. Giant first for Project Next. And Dan, hope you come on again. Brandi, come on again. You two are amazing. Just meeting you has been fantastic. I hope one day we meet in person. And thanks everybody. Please share, subscribe on YouTube. Let everybody know what's going on with this specific issue. If you live around here, find out what issue you got going on in your county, in your small town, because I guarantee there is something. There's a lot in Harrison County.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's kind of fun to try to solve something locally. Make your neighbors' lives better. There's a certain fulfilling, mental health.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially with what's going on right now in the world, this is good energy to be able to kind of fulfill.
Instead of doom scrolling,
instead of feeling hopeless. This isn't hopeless. There is a solution. There can be a fix. So.
We have a lot of good people. Pam put something good on about, she asked a question. She's my friend. She asked a question about data centers. Oh, wait, not data centers. Sorry. Pam, I think there is information out there that proves that they do not need that many people working at the firehouse. That's what she's asking. So there is actual information. And if you follow that Facebook group, you can see the actual facts that prove it on there. So thanks. That's one of my best friends, Pam. Love you, girl.
No, and yeah, they actually have, they didn't investigate and go to other fire departments to find out in similar size how they were able to do it at such a lower tax. We have no evidence of them taking any of those steps. Now I know Dan and we have started taking those steps, and there are answers. There are ways that it can be done. It just was kind of skipped over.
My guess was it was put to them in a fear way that was very rushed, because that's how they manipulate my town council.
Yeah.
They're like, if you don't do this now, this bad thing could happen any day. And it really like scares them, and they're like, they can't wait to sign it into law. I've seen that happen. So that's going to be my guess. And then my friend Johnny said good information. Bobby Lee said thank you. And Mercedes Jackson, that is a cool name, said thank you all so much. So thank you for those of you watching live. I really appreciate you all. And just let's get this information out and come back on and let me know. You guys have my cell number, so let me know if there's anything exciting that happens. I really am holding out hope that your elected officials are going to try to fix this problem. There would be such a great story if that happens, and it would help people. So yeah, thanks for what you're doing. Keep it up, everybody. Keep it up, you two. Thanks for coming on. I know it was it's scary coming on a live show, but it's fun. Did y'all have fun?
I did. It wasn't this is my first podcast. It wasn't as bad as I thought.
Dan, how are you? Are you doing okay? Because I want you back on again. So you doing okay?
Yeah, and thank you so much for the platform. We really do appreciate it. This is going to help us with outreach, and we're very thankful. We all are.
Yeah. I had a Republican cop come on, told by like 20 people I was going to like put him on the spot and say scary things. And I kept telling him, I was like, I promise I'm not going to do that. And so he did it with me. And then he's like, oh, you didn't do that. Like he was like, it was so funny. Just the scaredness of the live. But, I try to take care of you all. I'm so thankful that you're on the show. So just for future people, because I know it's intimidating, I take care of y'all. Don't worry. It's okay. See,
it was a very easy process. It really was. It was as easy as clicking a link and joining in, and you gave us plenty of instructions. So it really wasn't as scary.
And you two, I knew so little about you all, and it worked fine.
Well, I knew about you because I remember when you started Project Next. So I've been following.
Nice. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Yeah. People like come up to me and they know facts about me, and they're like, I heard it on your show. I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, it's weird, but okay.
It's so funny. All right. Bye, everybody. Love you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks for caring.
Thank you.